Warning, this video may contain some material that many parents may find unsuitable for children under the age of 14 due to chemicals, power tools, anything of that sort in nature that is really not appropriate for anyone under the age of 14 to be using. If you are under the age of 14, please have a parent's permission and hopefully with you while you watch this video. And if that's the case, I hope you enjoy it. Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and this is a Hot Wheels Dodge van. And this was given to me by Mr. K7 William Robinson, and he wanted something kind of custom with it. He recommended a Iron Maiden van, which you don't have to twist my arm to do. So this is the Iron Maiden van 2, because I've done one in the past. And I wanted to make this one a little bit different. And I kind of went multiple directions with this. I had something in mind. It did not work out. So I think my backup plan actually went better than what I initially had planned anyway. So first step, obviously, is to take it apart. Pretty basic. This thing was brand new in the package. Fairly detailed interior for having multiple seats. It's got the clear glass. Some have tinted or colored glass. So I really dig this paint job. I hated that. I really didn't want to use this van because I like the satin black and the flames, but I wanted to play to the gold base. So step one after I take it apart is pretty much just to pop these wheels out. If you stick your finger underneath one side at a time, you can kind of pop them out with a screwdriver or, anything that's sharp. Excuse me. I have these gold reel riders. I believe they're 12 spokes. And believe it or not, I think it's 2 weeks in a row, I've had wheels that actually fit. I didn't have to go completely crazy, at least on the back. The front, I had to use axle tubes, but the backs, believe it or not, actually fit perfectly. These vans have one tab, and then the grill kind of slides into the front to hold it in place, and it's a little bit of it's snug, so it's kind of a pain in the ass. You just have to take your time. But yeah, the back wheels fit perfectly. They were the right. I'm not even sure what it's at off of, so don't ask. I have no idea. I got them from Treads. So the front were not the right. They were too long. So I'm using my 1/16 brass tubing from K&S. I cut it to fit, and I'll open up the hole with a pick just to make sure my axle tubes or my axles will slide in. As usual, I have my spare axle piece, which is piano wire, and I don't know the size off the top of my head. I apologize. I've had this piece kicking around for a while. If you slide it through, and with axle tubes you have to glue your pieces in, you pretty much grind until you see sparks, and that'll give you the perfect depth, and you won't cut through and you cut too deep or not deep enough. See sparks, you stop. Don't try this at home. If you want to use a vise, by all means do it. I've yet to cut a limb off, but there's still time. So the advantage here too as well is when you have the axle piece in, you can actually, when you pull it out, it cleans everything out. So it works out really well. I'll usually go back through with a pick and just kind of whore the hole out a little bit just to make sure that everything works and I can get enough glue in there to do its job. So again, this is the front piece. So in order to get this to sit right, I have to grind down a little bit to the V that actually holds the original axle is obviously too narrow. So you have to kind of, I have this grinding disc that's the same. I don't know what it is, so nobody ask, please. I don't remember. I think it came in a kit, actually. It's the same thickness as the axle tube, so it really works out well. And I can just go down and grind it right there. And big thing here is pay attention, make sure you level, and you don't go too far down, obviously. Stripped it with the citrus strip, came right off, and then it's just some body prep. Overall, these castings aren't that bad. On the back top, in both corners, there's a casting lines. They're kind of they're light, but they're there. So I'm using some 360 grit sandpaper to knock those down. And then I'll, excuse me, I'll go back over it again later with some finer grit sandpaper just to get it smooth. The 360 I find really doesn't destroy it at all, and I've had pretty good success. I always tend to go through with my pick or a knife, and I'll clean out my casting lines, because sometimes you get some residue in there and it's hard to get out, and you don't see it till you put your coat of primer on, and then it looks like shit. So I tend to whenever I'm done, I'll do it 2 or 3 times just to make sure I get it all clean. There's also a big casting line that goes right across the front of the hood, which is horrible. You don't really see it with the factory paint on it because it's pretty thick. So this took a little bit longer. I'll use a combination of the 360 grit files and so on and so forth. So my first plan, I kind of traced everything out. It looks like a 3rd grader did it, but there is a method to my madness. I put it in Illustrator, and I will, it's just more for guidelines. And I recreate it with Illustrator, and that kind of gives me what I need, decals. And I'll trace it out and fill it in with black, so that way I can kind of see what I have. I do it for the side, the back, and the top. My initial goal was to do almost like a wrap, and wrap both sides completely. And William wanted the Somewhere in Time artwork, which is by far one of the best. And I was just going to place it on there, and everything was going to go fine, and I lost some footage. I also wanted to do the top, so because I don't like painting, I wanted this to be on the top, not underneath, because I didn't want the thickness of the plastic to dilute the image itself. I'm going to paint and prime, or prime and paint the top. So I sand it down real quick with some 360. Then I'll hit it with 600. And then I'll hit it again with 1200 just to get it nice and smooth, and so that it'll accept paint. So after I printed everything out, I print multiple sizes just in case. So initially I was trying this, and I didn't go all the way. I didn't really like it that much. Just didn't do it for me, so I cut out a bigger one, and this was what I was going to do on the entire side. And because I printed on clear, I painted or primed the body white. This I did. I let it sit overnight. I trimmed it. I just didn't like it. There's something about it that just kind of set it off for me. So I printed a whole new set of decals. I primed it gray so that I can paint it black and gold. So I've got multiple sizes. I'm playing around right now to kind of see what's going to work, what's not going to work. I didn't want to go obnoxious. I kind of went, well, I guess the wrap would have been obnoxious. So I painted and primed the different things like the roof, because the actual decal was slightly smaller. Lengthwise, I painted the front of it black and the sides of it black. So every artwork is slightly different. The artwork that I'm using gave me the flexibility to do that. So it worked out really well. That way there was no white showing. The only white was underneath the actual decal. And it actually worked out really well. I was surprised. I'm not a decal fan. I don't do it all the time. I usually print my own. Obviously, I can't print white, so that hampers me a little bit. And but again, I'm not a huge decal person. I don't know. There's something about it. Probably because I suck at it, but that could have something to do with it. So, once I lay it down, just get all the water out of it, and then I'll go around, because it's kind of rounded, and that sits inside the body. I'll use the microset to kind of go around the edges, and that'll help the decal kind of shrink in. Yeah, you can see right there. I'll just just mainly go around the edges. There was no creases or anything on the actual top, so worked out really, really well. For somebody who hates decals, I'm pretty proud of how these came out. So I painted the body black, and this is going to be a two-tone, so I'm going to use my, to me, masking tape. I've got different thicknesses I kind of play around with there. And I hemmed and hawed about this for probably about a day, trying to figure out how I was going to do this. And then I was going to go kind of wild and do like a, like a scallops or something like that. And I had a hard time. I ended up just opting to go plain simple. And to match the base, I'm going to go with the Splash Paints Gold. I believe it's Classic Gold Metallic or something like that. I don't remember. There's all kinds of weird names. It's all modeled after actual car paints. So I really don't remember, to be honest with you. Once you get the tape in there, I'm just going to kind of go through and make sure it's in all the creases so no paint kind of creeps underneath. Yeah, so there's the splash paints. My light is way too bright for some reason, so otherwise you could read it. I'm going to spare you the pain of watching me airbrush. It's kind of boring, but that's pretty much what I have. If you notice, I also blacked out the interior as well, and the grill and the front spoiler. So after I'd found the right size Iron Maiden band logo for the side, I'm just going to pop that on, one on each side. Again, these are the testers decals. I've got clear and I've got white. I just don't have the money to invest in a printer that can print white. My life would be a lot easier if I could. And because the back looked kind of silly with nothing on it, I put my Speed Shop logo on the back. And I think it kind of sets it off a little bit. And I like putting my... It's all about branding, people. Branding. So, other than that, really, there wasn't a lot to this. A lot of detailing on the interior, the tail lights. In the front grille, I added some gold to kind of pop it off after I painted it black. The gold, for me, I can take or leave it on the base, but this is pretty much where it was. Huge shout out to my Patreon members. Without them, I wouldn't have a channel. They help keep and feed my addiction to die-cast cars and customizing. The ones with the YouTube icons are linked down below. Again, this is what I started with. Pretty basic, no details, horrible looking wheels, but pretty kick-ass paint job. Hopefully I did it justice, and I hope you guys like it. I just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers, everybody who comments and takes the time, good, bad, and different. This is what I ended up with. I like it. I think, I hope William likes it. And I don't know. I think in the end, I'm pretty happy with it. So that's not something that happens very often. So once again, thank you, and I'll catch you on the next one.